So I'm going to share my screen and hopefully it shares the correct screen. And if not, we'll fix that. Oh, let's see
I believe in you.
here. Well, let's see. Share screen. Maybe there's like an option. Let's see. Boom. Oh, it gives me a choice. That's fantastic. Okay, do you guys see the exercising at home slide here?
Yes.
Excellent. Okay. Oh, it's really weird that like I don't see what you see. So we're just gonna roll with it. Anyway, all right. So yesterday you talked about mental and physical health, right? And one what I'm into, the stuff that I know a lot about is like training, right? And an excuse you hear a lot of time from people who are like, oh, I want to exercise, but I can't afford to go to a gym, or I don't want to buy a bunch of weights, or I don't want to buy like a Bowflex or something crazy like that. And it's just too expensive, and there's nothing I can do at home. And like, while going to a gym is fun, it is just that. Like, going to a gym is an experience that people who like to go to gyms enjoy doing. Like, as much of a meme as it is, there's a lot of people who like to go lift in front of a mirror to look at their muscles like flex. And like, just go to a gym sometime and look at any dude standing in front of a mirror, and you're like, I get why you're here. And that's fine. Like, I'm not hating on that person at all. They like to do that. And it's a cultural thing, and you kind of have a group of people you go with sometimes. And that's great. But you don't need that to get in shape. So, what I'm going to do for my lessons throughout this on Fridays is I'm just going to go through how to work out at home. It's something that, like Carissa probably talked about yesterday, that just staying in shape and exercising is good for your body and it's good for your mind. Like, it gives you something that you will feel proud about yourself doing every day. And anytime you set goals and meet those goals, you get this feeling of accomplishment. And so we're just going to talk about how, just some easy stuff at home. And today's kind of like the first lesson of that. So let's go forward. Okay. Um, the first thing okay, pause. Before I start, this is something I did, give you a little history about myself, is when I was in the Air Force, one of the things I did was I was a trainer for people going through the like special ops. We called it team, which was where you went after basic training to kind of get in shape to go do your like your special operations tests, right? So I have a little bit of background helping people get into very specific shape. But one of the things we focused on was not using gym equipment, right? Like, we didn't bench press, we didn't squat. Well, we did squats, but not like with weight. We did a lot of body weight things. So I have kind of a history of helping people get in shape without going to a gym. Um, and the most important thing for all those people was we needed to set a goal. And this is the same kind of important lesson I would give to anybody who's working out at home is, do you kind of imagine what you want to get out of your working out? A common mistake that people just getting into exercise make is they're like, I'm going to exercise. And then for a week, they exercise. And maybe it's riding a bike for a week or walking for a week or doing some push ups. And then they're kind of like, well, what like is my purpose for exercise? And if you don't have a goal, if you don't have a target, I would say you'll lose your way, but you were never on your way to anything anyway. You just thought, oh, I'll exercise. Hooray. Well, exercise is not easy to motivate yourself to do all the time. And if you don't make targets and if you're not consistently hitting targets, it's really easy to lose motivation. Whereas if you set goals and you're able to start meeting goals, you get that reward. You're like, oh, I've managed to hit my first goal. Maybe, maybe the first time you work out, you're like, I'm just going to see how many push-ups I can do. And you can do 5. And you're like, fine. My first goal now is to be able to do 10 push-ups. And for a couple weeks, you do some exercises, and then you're like, all right, I'm going to test myself today. and you do push-ups and you can do 11 and you're like, oh, it's working. I achieved my goal. And you might not look like this dude, right? Like, probably not, but you achieved a goal. Um, some people's goals are to lose weight. Some people's goals are to put on muscle. Some people's goals are like, hey, it's going to be swimming season in a month and I got to wear that swimsuit, or I'm going to a beach somewhere. It doesn't, everybody's goal is different. So that's my first big spiel on working out is like, pick a goal. Um, another common misconception about training, I'm talking about like muscle building exercises. And I hear this from my fiance and my mom love to hit me with this one. They're like, well, I don't want to have a bunch of muscles and look buff. Okay. I go back to my picture here of, this guy. The only way you get like Arnold Schwarzenegger muscles is going to a gym and lifting insanely heavy weights and eating a ton of food and lifting for that. Just exercise will never make you look like a steroided out monster. Like you have to try very, very hard to get like super bulky. So exercising, muscle building exercises will never make you into a bulky, like super bulky person unless you want it to. And then there's specific new exercises you need to do. And that's not what we're talking about here. So don't be scared of working out because you don't want to look like, you know, Mr. Universe or something and have weird muscles all over the place. Okay, let's just move on. So my second thing that I really like to harp on with exercise is balance. Um, any muscle building program that you get into, right? Like if you want to get stronger and more in shape, balance is going to be super important. Somebody who, let's take, I'll use push-ups as an example again, because push-ups is a very common exercise. If you train a lot every day, and let's say you're really working on push-ups for some reason, that's one of your goals, and you do a lot of push-ups. Push-ups make you strong, like in your chest. It makes your pecs strong, it makes your triceps strong, and you will get stronger by training. But there's a problem there. If you make the front of your body strong, that pushing muscle group strong, and you're not strengthening your back muscles and your pulling muscles, your body will become out of balance. This is a really common mistake a lot of new lifters, power lifters, and just people getting to exercise make, is they start working out, and let's say somebody joins a gym, which is cool. All right, they want to be in that gym club. Awesome. So they join a gym, and for a month, they just like hit the bench press 3 times a week, and they're curling, and they're doing those like big exercises that everybody thinks are great. And then they start to feel kind of bad. Their neck starts hurting. They start having headaches. Their back hurts. A lot of the reason for that is because they might have strengthened their chest a lot, but your chest and camera work, okay? It's like your chest right here. If these muscles, your pec muscles get really strong, it will pull your shoulders forward because these muscles contract like this. So overdeveloped chest will pull shoulders forward, and underdeveloped back muscles won't be able to stop it. So you need to strengthen these muscles if you're strengthening these muscles at the same time, and that will keep your body in balance. So any exercises that you're doing, you need to make sure you are doing kind of the opposite exercise of that. Get stronger. You need to make your whole body stronger. Exercise is a very holistic thing. It is not good to just do one exercise or 2 exercises. It is good to do a variety of exercises, and that'll keep your whole body in shape. That's one of the, for a lot of people who do yoga, for example, yoga is very good at putting your body in a lot of different weird positions made to strengthen your whole body and keep your body in balance. Another thing that I did is I have a massage therapy degree. And so I would get clients doing massages for them, and they'd come in and say, hey, this part of my body hurts, or I have this pain, or I have this problem. And a lot of times those problems I got a lot of athletes that had very similar problems to other athletes that competed in the same sport as them. And that's because their sport built up a certain group of muscles, and then they were never told to train other groups of muscles. And that's not their fault. Like it's no one ever told them. But oh, their legs were getting their quads were getting really strong doing some kind of squatting routine, and they never lifted for their hamstrings, and that'll mess your knees up. So when we'll get more specifically into the exercises in the coming weeks. Like, don't worry, I'm not just going to leave you hanging with this. But balance is super important for working out. Okay, next. There are 5 basic training movements. And you'll see this broken down differently, but I like to break it down into these 5. There are pushing exercises, pulling exercises, leg exercises, and then aerobic and anaerobic exercises. So just kind of a real quick overview here. Pushing exercises are anything where you are either pushing your body away from the ground or pushing weight away from your body. Bench press is, of course, like one of the classics, which is also going to be the equivalent of a push-up. You're laying on the ground and you are pushing your body away from the ground. That is a pushing lift. A pulling exercise is the opposite of that. There's some weight that is far away from you and you are pulling it towards you. These are the two. A lot of times when you're talking upper body, a lot of people will just do pushing and pull routines where one day they do pulling exercises, one day they do pushing exercises. They just go back and forth, which helps keeps their body in weight or keeps their body in balance. Legs, super important. So many people ignore doing leg exercises because leg exercises are hard. The classic leg exercise is just a squat, and you don't need weight to do a squat. Oh boy, I said I wasn't going to do it. I'm going to stand up, webcam this. You can just stand and just squat down, get your legs like parallel to the ground, and stand up. And I guarantee you, if you do that a lot of times, you will get really tired. It doesn't matter how good of shape you're in, just squatting down and standing up will wear you out. And that's great. So there's a lot of other exercises for your legs that are important. There's a lot of muscle groups in your legs, and we're going to talk about legs in detail on one of these days. But a lot of people who try to get strong, this is their little routine of, I'm going to call it weight training, but I just mean strength training. I'll call it strength training then. Push, pull, legs. And they might just rotate those 3 in an order. Now, another important thing to do, though, is work in aerobic and anaerobic exercise in some way. These 2 words that you might see if you're ever looking up exercises are aerobic and anaerobic. It has to do with your heart rate. Again, we're going to talk about those later. I don't want to go into like super detail on some stuff that's going to be in a later date. Okay, moving on. Okay. Another important thing, and this is where this class kind of comes in, is anything that you can do at a gym, anything that you can train at a gym, you can also do at home. All you have to do is look at the exercise somebody's doing in a gym, or if you look up a YouTube video like how to work out my chest, and you look at people who are at the gym doing these like lifts, and you're like, I don't have that machine. I don't have that bar. I don't have that, excuse me, I don't have those cables that they have. You can modify any of those moves to work out the muscle group in the same way. It just takes a little bit of creativity sometimes. And that's basically it. Just think, like if you can, for example, a common lift at a gym is an inclined bench press, which just means instead of, can't remember work, instead of pushing a regular bench press, you're going to push a bar straight up from your chest. An inclined bench press, you push the bar away from your chest at an angle. Well, at home, a push-up, it's just a regular push-up. And so you're like, well, how could I do an inclined push-up? Well, you just put your feet up on something like a couch or a chair, and all of a sudden you've tilted your body at this angle. And then when you're doing push-ups, look at that, you're doing an inclined. You're equivalent of an inclined bench press. So it just takes a little bit of creativity. What this slide is showing is just 5 exercises that are the most common at home. One, that's a one that is showing on the screen is called a burpee, and a burpee is a fantastic exercise that anybody who's been in the military knows that they love to make you do. It works your yeah. We'll get there later. All right. Okay. A really cool thing, and this is something that if you get into fitness at all, one thing that you're missing out by not going to a gym is the community. You do develop these weird friendships in the gym because you typically tend to go at the same time every day, and other people are going at the same time every day, and you develop this like community. Well, when you're working out at home by yourself, one of the hardest things about that is you're missing out on that community. And it's hard to, no matter how good your intentions are, it's very hard to motivate yourself every day to do something. Um, a big recommendation I have for people working out at home is find a streamer. And this is something like video game streamers are super popular. Like people in the gaming community stream video games. They love to play video games with people who are streaming, and it's this community building thing. There are fitness streamers, and some of them are very, very good that literally just stream their home workouts every day and talk to the people who are watching them work out. And so they might do a set of an exercise, walk over to their webcam, and then they answer questions that people are typing to them. And you will kind of develop this friendship with the people who hang out in there a lot, like the people who hang out that would hang out with you in a gym. I can't tell you the amount of times where I would be at work, let's say, and I would be sitting at school and it's my planning period or lunch, and I'm sitting at my desk eating, and I'm like, man, it was a hard day because my planning period was the last hour of the day. And so I had taught all day, and I was like, man, I'm done. Like this day was brutal. And like I had to put a kid's head through the ceiling today because he just wouldn't be quiet. Like that kid's name was Gage, and it happened multiple times, but they were drop ceilings, so it just moved the little drop. And he was a 6th grader. So anyway, um, but and I was like, I just don't know that I can like, I don't know that I have the energy to go home and work out after that. But this guy right here, and this is his wife, um, they have an exercise channel called Tomination Time on Twitch. And he would stream during my planning period. And I would just pull it up while I was working just to have something on the computer. And I'd be like, man, they're doing it and they're talking about exercise. All right, fine. Like, I get it. If I want to be a part of this community, I should probably go do my exercise. And it helped motivate me to just stay on schedule. And it gave me that sense of community where like somebody might ask a question in the chat and I'd be like, oh, I can answer that. Like I just did that. And then you're like, oh, look, we're exercising together, but also like social distancing before you had to social distance. And so I highly recommend finding, and you can sort of do the same with YouTubers, honestly. I know my fiance has a couple YouTubers that she really likes that do fitness stuff. The point of this is build a community. Everything is harder by yourself. And if you have a support group with anything, it helps so much. And exercise is hard. And having a support group that will help motivate you is really important. Okay, that was my last slide, but there were a couple more things I did want to talk about. I had it. Wait, I'm remembering it. Should have wrote it down. Okay. Yeah, maybe I don't. Maybe it's for the next lesson. I'm gonna unshare my screen now. Figure that out. Stop share. There it is. Okay. So now I want to open up to you guys. I know this is probably 2 days in a row that you've been hit with exercise stuff because I know Carissa just got you with it, and I know I just kind of opened up what I'm gonna do. Does anybody have any questions or anything they want to talk about as far as just any sort of exercise, staying in shape or anything, before I start getting a lot more specific in the coming weeks, because I'd be happy to modify any of my coming lessons with specific examples for somebody. Um, I'll just open it up. Does anybody have any questions or anything they'd like to ask or say?
What's the opposite of an ab workout?
Who was that? So I can answer.
Real.
Me.
Real. Okay. So the opposite of an ab workout is going to be the rest of your core. So a lot of times when people do core exercises, they focus on doing a lot of sit-ups or a lot of crunches. And those are fine. Sit-up and crunches are good exercises. But your core wraps all the way around your body. You need to exercise your lower back. That's the most important answer to that question, is the lower back. Lower back exercises, easy ones to do, is literally just picking stuff up off the floor. And I'll demonstrate like a form for that, because you don't want to, you ever heard don't lift with your back? You're kind of lifting with your back in this case, but you need to lift with your back in the right way to build muscle. Another way to do it is to have something you can lean, like you lean off of, and then you literally like bend down and then just raise your back up like this. This is a really common exercise. In workout places, they have a thing you can like hook your feet on and do that on purpose. But lower back exercises are the easiest answer to that. And then you also want to work on your sides at the same time to stay perfectly balanced. And that's as easy as doing like a side plank. Like instead of planking on the front, just get to the side and plank with one arm up and just keep like this part of you right here engaged. Like you just hold yourself up with this part of you and you'll feel it. Yeah, doing that will keep your core in balance and help your back a lot. Because that was a great question, because a lot of people get out of balance in that way. Excellent.
Jake asked in the chat if a straight leg lift would work for that.
So a straight leg lift. Jake, is a straight leg lift, I'm not entirely familiar with that terminology. So a straight leg lift, is that, you guys probably can hear my cat screaming at me.
It happens.
Let's see. Is that where you keep your legs straight, like straight, and then you're just bending over and picking something up? Is that a straight leg lift? Okay, that's basically a deadlift then, right? Like this is the beauty of Zoom meetings: is you ask a question and then you wait for somebody to kind of answer. Okay, great. Yeah, deadlifting and straight leg lifting are lower back exercises. That is correct. They are also good hamstring exercises as well. And you don't need, I will demonstrate these when we talk about this exercise specifically. But if you're just like super intent on doing one now, there are literally 50 million YouTube videos for all of this. Like so many YouTubers are fitness YouTubers that sorting, there's so much information, and I'll have, again, specific examples on the days. There's so much good information that basically you just pick a personality you like and stick with that one. Yeah, good. So good question. Yeah, all good questions so far. If I was bad, this is from Nick. If I was bad in the store as a kid, my mom made me do burpees, but she called them front back goes. Okay. Yeah, that's, yeah, burpees are the devil. Yep. If we were bad, what we had to do, this was on team, is you guys know a track, right? Like it's a quarter mile, goes around a football field. They'd just be like, go do a lap, burpees. And so we just had to do a lap around that track. Oh, you jumped forward as far as you could, every jump. And it might take 25 minutes, but it was awful. PTSD with burpees.
In my old school, we had to do like 20 every day.
20? That's a good number. I like that.
Not very fun.
There you go. There he is. He's going to show you guys. There we go. I got all the friends right now.
Oh.
This guy, the guy happy right there, he needs to do some burpees. He is, well, we try to put him on a diet, and he doesn't care. He finds those calories somewhere.
I feel like if Happy was leading the exercise routine, I would do it.
Yeah, if Happy was leading it,
Yeah, yeah.
yeah.
If
Well,
he was
I
my
can
trainer.
try. He'll chase a ball down the hallway,
Yes.
so that's
Okay.
he's good for that.
Great start. I can probably do that.
Okay.
I had something to comment,
Yeah.
question, whatever. Um, so obviously, all of us have been using our computers a lot,
Yep.
sitting a lot. And I don't know about all of you, but my neck hurts really bad. So I was thinking maybe we could do one or two exercises that focus on the neck or the shoulders to help
Perfect.
us from, staring at Zoom all day.
Yeah, that's great. And that is another super common one you see in massage clinics and chiropractic offices is people whose neck and shoulders hurt from computer strain. And that, like you said, Adrian, is going to be so amplified right now because we all spend so much more time on our computers. So, okay, and I'll have some detailed examples when we do that day. But essentially, you're trying to, by being hunched over with your shoulders forward, all like if you're at a computer,
Oh, like I'm doing now.
yeah, right. Like the limitations of this webcam action are just intense. But instead of being in like correct posture with your shoulders neutral and you're like looking straight ahead, your head's down, your shoulders are forward, and you're like, okay. So essentially, the exercises are going to focus on the opposite of that because you're tightening up all of this. And so you need to train your body to put that, essentially, you're training your body to put that back where it belongs, right? And so, like, um, something easy to get at like any store is just a band. If you have a band or a series of bands, and you guys know what I'm talking about, just like you just like a big rubber band that amplifies the amount of workouts you can do by so much. Because one thing that, because I had that problem, like I used to go get treatment for that problem because I was a gamer and I spend my whole life hunched over. But one thing they'd have me do is I would literally take the band and like wrap it around my head, right? Like this way. And then I would just like pull back. Like I'd use
Oh,
my head and just pull, and that would just strengthen my neck because those muscles in the back of my neck were just overextended, like they were just hyperextended all the time, and so they
wow.
were weak. And they're like, look, you're tight here, and that's pulling your head down and forward all the time, and it's throwing everything out. You need to strengthen this to help bring your body back into balance. Um, and when he said it, I was like, oh, yeah, that makes sense. Why didn't I just think about that? But that's so many things. It's like after you were explained something, you're like, oh, duh, that I get it. But it's another thing to have to, figure it out yourself. So a lot of times you just need to hear it from somebody else first. But
Yeah.
that was a great question. Anybody else
That's
have any
interesting.
questions?
You mean, I know, I'm not clearly I mean, look at my background, cookies. Okay, I'm not an exerciser. So, however, I did go to a physical therapist for a long time to try and work on migraines.
Hmm.
And, she worked me hard. It was hard, okay?
Yeah,
Anyway, we did a lot of stuff with that, those bands. And for once upon a time, I had a posture. So
right.
I knew it could work. It was just, I didn't follow through.
Yeah. Well, and that's what I'm saying. It's so hard because, like routine, and this is a different thing, but during the school year, it's so much easier for me personally to exercise because my weeks are I wake up at a certain time, I go to work at a certain time, I get home at a certain time. And so I just plug in exercise to a certain time and just do it. During the summer, I'm like, I wake up when I wake up. Like today, I was like, gotta wake up by 9:30 so I can come to these Zoom meetings. And so it's hard. It's even though I have a lot of time during the day to exercise, a lot of times I just end up going on a walk at night because I'm like, I didn't really get it in. I'll just go walk around, which is fine. That's fine. Walking is a fantastic form of at least moving around for the day, which is really healthy. Um, yeah. Oh, Brielle left. Bye, Brielle. Um, okay. If anybody else have any questions or anything they want to focus on in the coming weeks? Somebody's like, I want to get super swole. And I'm going to be like, take steroids, dude. Kidding. Don't.
Not supplying those.
No. Okay. Well, I'm not a huge believer in homework, and anybody who would ever be in one of my actual classroom classes knows that I think homework is not the best. But I am going to, so I'm not going to assign you something you need to turn in, but I am going to assign you something I want you to think about. So I would like for, by the time next Friday afternoon class rolls around, for everybody to just have maybe like one thing they would either like to learn about or an exercise goal that they would like to have. Just so when we have this little session at the end, just I can hit a few more people. We had a lot of good stuff today, but maybe next week we can have some different people ask something, and we can work that into the lessons. So that's just it. Just think about, maybe if you're someone who's like thought about getting into exercise or somebody who wants to play a sport next year, anything. So just think about it and come with something next week. That's all I got. All right. Adrian or John, you guys have anything?
Hopefully everybody saw my message about work study. Guys, just be aware that you need to be keeping up with that. Mr. Babin would like you guys to have about 10 hours by the end of the weekend. So that means if you haven't done any yet, you really need to start working on that. It's not fair to him for you to submit every single thing at the very end when he would have to grade like crazy when he's really doing a favor for us. So that's a big goal. There's one goal for this weekend, to get to some of that. If you're having any problems, you probably should go to him first, but you can ask us as well to kind of figure those out. But keep that in mind because that's a longer term goal, and you don't see him every day or every week like you do your instructors.
Cool. Yeah, don't blow a chance to make some easy money.
That's $450. That is
nice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I would like to make that.
Yep.
All right, kids.
All right. We'll see you next week, everybody.